Hey, what's going on, you guys? I'm back, you know what I'm saying, to basically talk about an interesting topic. Excuse the quality, first and foremost, you know what I'm saying. Working on some stuff right now, but yeah, I know you can see the title. I know y'all gonna be like, I gotta hear this. Well, this is actually, an interesting topic. A lot of people ask me to do videos like this, so here I am, I'm finally getting around to it. So I actually want to talk about George St. Pierre, and not just George St. Pierre. I got a lot of fighters that I want to break down, and it's not gonna just be fighters that I'm not big fans of. It's gonna be all kind of fighters. Fighters that like my favorite fighters. Anywhere from Fedor to Anderson Silva. And those are my favorite fighters. I mean, George St. Pierre is one of my favorite fighters as well. But I'm just gonna talk about what I think, what it's gonna take to beat this guy. What type of fighters is going to beat George St. Pierre? Okay. Now, this is what I believe. We all know George St. Pierre has incredible wrestling. He has great wrestling. And we all know he has decent stand-up. I'm not gonna lie and say George St. Pierre is the best stand-up in the world, because he clearly does not. But his stand-up is far from bad. He doesn't have a shitty stand-up. His stand-up is he's a good jab. He has some decent leg kicks. And he got an all-around game. But I think that George St. Pierre, he's very predictable. And that's what I want to talk about. For a long time, we've been seeing George St. Pierre perform the exact same way that he does in almost every single fight. And everybody yet goes into the octagon to fight him in the same exact way. And I think those people need to get a reality check, because if you study George St. Pierre's videos, I mean, it doesn't even take a rocket scientist to notice this. George St. Pierre is very predictable. He's going to engage in a little bit striking, at first. Going to get you to think that he's going to make it a stand-up match, and then before you know it, he's going to be shooting in for a double leg takedown, and you're going to be on your back. You know what I'm saying? And that's just basically what it is. Now, when I say George St. Pierre is very predictable, I mean, like, all George St. Pierre does is the same jab. I always see the same punches from George St. Pierre. The little jab, little jab. I hate to say this, forgive me for saying this, but the same gay ass spinning back kick. That's I've been seeing George St. Pierre do that, and since he got in the octagon. And I know what the old saying says: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, I disagree with that, because sometimes if you don't change your game up a little bit, people are going to figure out how to beat you. Chuck Liddell, for instance, he's a great example, to call out. Chuck Liddell, he had the same game plan for years, and now look at him. And Chuck Liddell is also one of my all-time favorite fighters. So it's just the truth here. I think that George St. Pierre, he doesn't, he does mix his game up. He does mix his game up a lot, but the mixture that he used is very predictable. Spinning back kick, jab, Superman punch, little Superman punch, he always does, and then shoots in for a takedown. Now, what it's going to take for a guy to overcome this and beat George St. Pierre? Now, this is what I noticed about George St. Pierre. Now, George St. Pierre is not as flat-footed as BJ Penn. BJ Penn is a very flat-footed fighter, but he's also a great striker. But what messes BJ Penn up is that he doesn't, he just walks straight forward. He's a flat-footed fighter. Now, George St. Pierre does stay on his toes. You know what I mean? He's not a very fast fighter, but he's not a slow fighter at all. But George St. Pierre, he stands, kind of in that karate stance, and he moves, and not the Machida's fighting stance, because Machida has his own style of fighting. So you can't compare him. Machida has karate, but it's Machida karate. So him and George St. Pierre are on a totally different level when it comes to karate. George St. Pierre, he walks straight forward, kind of flat-footed at times, not all the time. But like I said, what I feel is going to take a guy like Frankie Edgar, like a guy who weighs 170 pounds, a guy like Frankie Edgar, to dance around on George St. Pierre, to move around. And I don't know if the guy in the WEC, I think his name is Dominique Cruz. Dominique Cruz, when he had that fight against, I think his name is Brian Bulls. Yeah, Brian Bulls, man, just absolute fantastic performance. You know, it really blew me away. Had me on my feet. You know, I gave a round of applause to him. I thought he had an excellent game plan. I mean, this guy was sticking and moving like you never seen. You know, I mean, he was just, I mean, he was bringing something that you really don't see in the octagon. And I'm not talking about dancing around like Anderson Silva. Yes, Anderson Silva is my favorite fighter, but at times Anderson Silva has the tendency of dancing around, but his dancing around isn't really that effective. You know what I mean? He tends to get taken down a lot, you know, and I'm talking about a guy who knows how to dance around, and you know, when he sees, he doesn't even give you a chance to set up a takedown. He's just constantly moving, just staying active, almost like he's just, you know, just can't even be still, you know, just constantly, you know, kind of like Frankie Edgar did BJ Penn, you know, by the way, you know, excellent performance on his part, but it's going to take a guy who's never been still. It's going to take a guy who has a great gas tank, a guy who does not get tired, you know, who can go to the 5th round like it's easy, a 5-round fight. A guy who has a decent background in wrestling. You know, he doesn't have to be the greatest wrestler in the world. He doesn't have to be good as Akashik. He doesn't have to be good as Fitch. He doesn't have to be good as George St. Pierre. And his takedown defense doesn't have to be, and he has to have a decent amount of takedown defense. You know, obviously he doesn't want to be like Dan Hardy, you know, where his takedown defense doesn't even exist. But he doesn't have to be as good as BJ Penn either. And I do like Dan Hardy, you know, and I really do like him. He's growing to be one of my favorite fighters as well. But these are the things I feel that you need to go up against George St. Pierre. Speed. I mean, unlimited amount of footwork. A guy who really has rhythm. You know, every time he sees George St. Pierre coming in, he does stick and move. You know, throw some jabs, throw some combinations, and never giving George St. Pierre the time enough to set up anything. You know, not so much as a jab, not so much as a gay ass spinning back kick that he always does, not so much as you know, a takedown. You know, these are the things you need to beat him. You're gonna have to mix leg kicks up. I mean, you're gonna have to leg kick the shit out of George St. Pierre and not get taken down. I'm not talking about the type of leg kicks that you'll be vulnerable for the takedown, because believe me, whether you believe it or not, they never say this, but you don't have to get taken down every time you throw a leg kick. You can throw really low leg kicks, you know, almost by the ankle, almost, you know, not literally, but I mean leg kicks that are like lightning fast. You know, as soon as you throw the kick, I mean, snatch your leg back immediately. Don't throw the kick and leave your leg out there, you know, like James Irvin did Anderson Silva. You know, obviously, you know, disaster is waiting to happen. But every now and then, when George St. Pierre think it's all about you sticking and moving and throwing those fast combinations and, you know, running all over the ring, you know, just like you kind of faking them out like you're in a football field or something like that, throw a lightning fast leg kick and mix it up on them. Because, you know, that's one thing I noticed about George St. Pierre. He doesn't throw a lot of leg kicks. And I just think that's, for right now, that's what it's going to take to really challenge George St. Pierre, let alone beat him, you know. And some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. Whatever, you know, as long as you respect, I promise you, I respect your opinion. Just leave your comments. You know, respect my opinion. No need for name calling. No need for all that. Let's act like adults. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I feel is going to take to really challenge George St. Pierre and beat him. You know, and again, you know, I just want to, if you want to know what I'm talking about, just go back and look at the Dominique Cruz fight when he beat Brian Bulls. You know. Outstanding footwork. You know, I'm not talking about footwork like Muhammad Ali. I'm not talking like footwork like like Anderson Silva. I'm not talking about that. I mean footwork where you're constantly moving all around the octagon, not giving them a chance, make them go like, man, what the hell is this guy doing? Is he gonna fight me or what? Soon as you start thinking, is this guy in here to fight? Bloop, 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 catch him right in the mouth. You know, when you think you're gonna engage in just a straight boxing match, you know. Mix it up, throw a leg kick, snatch your leg back immediately, run around the cage again, you know. Just steady mix it up on them. Steady mix it up on them, you know. That's exactly what it's going to take. And mark my word, that is going to be the type of fighter that is going to beat him. Either George St. Pierre is going to get submitted by somebody, or either George St. Pierre is going to get outworked when it comes to, you know, being on the feet. He's going to get put up against a guy who really has great footwork, a decent amount of takedown defense. You know, it does, like I said before, he doesn't have to have the best takedown defense. It just has to exist. You know, and you have to have decent wrestling background. He doesn't have to be the best, like I said before, but just decent enough to deal with St. Pierre. And just for the record, I just want to say George St. Pierre is an outstanding fighter, great fighter. What he has done and how long he has held the belt, not many fighters have accomplished that at all. You know, he's done great, but George St. Pierre can get very boring at times, and I'm ready to see something else different happen. If George St. Pierre changes his game up and he gets exciting, you know, who knows what'll happen. But for now, just me, my opinion, I would like to see somebody else be, you know, just be champion, man. You know, that's just my opinion, though. So hope you guys like the video. If you have any disagreements, just leave your comment. If you agree, leave your comment, and I'll make a video about that possibly. All right.